Let's make history. The migrant crisis, the border crisis, continues to spiral out of control. On Randall's Island, not far from where I grew up, in East Harlem, right across the bridge they're housing migrants. They have tent cities outside of the facility where they're housing these migrants. I believe it was an insane asylum at one point when I was growing up. And the firefighters trained there. They're using it to house migrants, and now I'm hearing two things. Number one, they have some of these migrants wearing ankle bracelets so that they can't leave the island, or so that they can't leave a certain area. I saw a young woman the other day with an ankle bracelet, ankle monitor on, an ankle monitor. And I'm like, she didn't seem like the type that was involved in a life of crime, but hey, you never know, especially in New York City. They also have what you call, pardon my language, hole strolls on Randall's Island that the gangs are controlling. And the women are servicing men inside the tents. So the full-fledged businesses, prostitution businesses running on this island. And already people have been murdered there. They're assembling their tents in groups where gangs are housed together. Like a certain group of tents is this gang, a certain group of tents is that gang. And they've been having conflicts. So right now, still a hot topic online is the fact that Trump have brought out in his debate against Harris that the migrant situation was so out of control in Springfield, Ohio, that migrants, specifically Haitian migrants, have reverted to eating cats, dogs, geese, duck, that they're just capturing from out of parks and stealing from people. That hasn't, so far, nothing solid has come forth, any reports as of yet proving this. It's all been anecdotal, and that's how it came out to begin with. It was Senator Vance who was getting complaints from his constituents. He began to voice those complaints, which that's his job to do, and that's how the whole migrants eating cats and dogs thing became a public matter. J.D. Vance brought it out first, then Trump brought it out in a debate. But again, it's been purely anecdotal. And my thing, you can check out part 1 to this video, The Truth About Migrants Eating Cats and Dogs, part 1. Subscribe on YouTube. It's irrelevant if they are or if they aren't. The point is, it became a distraction. They're accusing J.D. Vance of making the story up because he said a line in his interview with Dana Bash. He said that sometimes they have to create stories to bring attention to a certain issue. He wasn't saying to make a story up. He was saying to put a story out there in the public eye that the news a lot of times, most times, ignore, because the news, the mainstream media at this point, is basically just another wing of the Democratic Party. And the people, you and I, are getting the short end of the stick because it's their job to remain objective, to just tell what happens in detail and inform without bias. But it's the opposite. Most of the news outlets are left-wing, and they fully support the Democratic Party. Even Fox is not even considered a fully right-wing news outlet at this point. They've done plenty of things to subvert Trump.
Would you like to ask me questions and then let me answer them, or would you like to debate me on these topics? I noticed that when you had Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, you gave them multiple choice answers to the questions that you asked, and you allowed them to answer the questions. I'm happy to be here to talk about policy, but if you're going to interrupt me every single time that I open my mouth, then why am I even doing this?
Nobody is disputing that the town of Springfield, Ohio needs help. But you're not just a bystander, you're the senator from Ohio. So instead of saying things that are wrong and actually causing the hospitals, the schools, the government buildings to be evacuated because of bomb threats, because of the cats and dogs thing, why not actually be constructive in helping to better integrate them into the community?
And once again, this is the point. Did you hear what she said? Why aren't you being constructive and help integrate them? And that is the actual problem. We have a system already in place for this. These people didn't go through that system. They got flown in some cases, driven in some cases. As he said, due to the Biden and Harris failed immigration policy. Already pointed out the problems that we're having with gangs, prostitution, and the list goes on. This is basically the same thing that the mayor of Springfield, Ohio was saying, which I mentioned in part 1 of this video. Many people are saying, oh, well, there's jobs. There's a plethora of jobs which need to be filled, and that's why they did it. But Americans should have access to those jobs first. How many Americans you think in Ohio or anywhere in the country for that matter are looking to upgrade their lifestyle, are looking to change jobs, are looking to get jobs? So that's part of the problem, is that Americans are constantly being left behind and forgotten about in favor of new batches of people that are coming in. They don't even have our best interests in mind, and our elected officials are the ones orchestrating this. Make no mistake.
Dana, first of all, let me just respond to a couple things that you said, but I want to start with something you said, which I think is frankly disgusting and is more appropriate for a Democratic propagandist than it is for an American journalist. There is nothing that I have said that has led to threats against these hospitals. These hospitals, the bomb threats and so forth, it's disgusting. You just accused me of inciting violence against the community when all that I've done is surface the complaints of my constituents, people who are suffering because of Kamala Harris's policies. Are we not allowed to talk about these problems because some psychopaths are threatening violence? I'm talking to my constituents and I'm hearing terrible things about what's going on in Springfield, and Kamala Harris's open border policies have caused these problems. The American media totally ignored this stuff until Donald Trump and I started talking about cat memes. If I have to, create stories so that the American media actually pays attention to the suffering of the American people, then that's what I'm going to do, Dana, because you guys are completely letting Kamala Harris coast. I say that we're creating a story, meaning we're creating the American media focusing on it. I didn't create 20,000 illegal migrants coming into Springfield thanks to Kamala Harris's policies.
It doesn't matter if this is going on, if they're eating cats and dogs. The point is, it's having a heavy strain on the infrastructure in all the places where these migrants are being dropped off by the thousands, and it's happening all over the country. Tren de Aragua, the fastest growing gang from out of Venezuela, are now in New York City. We already have a gang problem. You add that to it. You have a place like Springfield, Ohio, of roughly 60,000 people, and you drop off 20,000 Haitians. Nothing against Haitians, it doesn't matter where they're from. The point is, like, they're not even bothering to assimilate these people. They're not bothering to help them get adjusted into this new home, which is a totally different culture, operates a totally different way from where they come from, and is starting to bring chaos. That's the point. That's the point. And it's manifesting in crime. And I said, as I said, and a burden on the already strained infrastructure. Leave your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to hit that like button. Subscribe to WillFloresTV on YouTube. Follow me on Instagram, TikTok, and X.